That'll work. All right. Mr. Clark, ready? Good afternoon, everyone. And welcome to Caddo Parish Commission regular meeting. At this time, we will have our roll call.
Dominic,
Okay.
Lennon Johnson, Jackson, Lynn, Bowman, Cawthorn,
Present.
Gage Watts,
Present.
Middleton,
Here.
Atkins, Chavez,
Here,
Smith,
sir.
Lewis Johnson.
Present.
I'm present.
We have a quorum now.
Thank you, Mr. Clark. At this time, we will ask you to silence your cell phones, and I see Pastor Brian Hollins. Would you come up and give the invocation, please? And we will have our Pledge of Allegiance by Commissioner Stephen Jackson. I ask that you please stand and govern yourselves accordingly.
Let us pray. Father, we're so grateful for this day that you have given us, for this is the day that you have made, and we are rejoicing and we are glad in it. We pray your blessings, Father, over this committee, dear God, these servants, this commission, Lord. We pray, dear God, that they will continue to be your hands extended into this city and this parish. We ask it all in your Son, Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen.
If you would place your hand over your heart, all active and retired military, please render the proper salute and repeat after with me in unison with me. I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Pastor Brian Hollis, and thank you, Commissioner Jackson. I think I have a motion at this time.
Yes, Madam President, I'd like to make a motion that we suspend the rules and move up our visitor and special resolutions at this time.
Second.
Okay. It's been moved by Commissioner Stephen Jackson and second by Commissioner Mike Middleton to move up our special resolutions before our citizens' comments and agenda additions.
Correct.
Okay. If no one is opposing that motion, we can move forward by acclamation. Is there any opposition? I see none, and that moves by acclamation. At this time, Mr. Clerk.
So we have special resolutions. Our first special resolution recognizing Miss Carolyn Jones.
Is she here? Okay. Please stand.
In the name and by the authority of the Caddo Parish Commission, resolution of recognition to Carolyn Nadine Jones. Whereas the Caddo Parish Commission desires to give appropriate recognition to those citizens of Caddo Parish who reflect favorably and positively upon this parish. And whereas Miss Carolyn Nadine Jones was born in Shreveport and is one of 4 children to E. Edward Jones and Leslie Alexander Jones. And whereas in 1965, Dr. E. Edward Jones filed a suit against Caddo Parish and won, ordering them to segregate the schools almost a decade following the ruling of Brown versus the Board of Education in Topeka, Kansas. And whereas Ms. Jones' early years at Creswell Elementary were not easy ones, as she was the first and only African-American child who attended that school. Her classmates called her derogatory names, teased her, or ignored her completely on a daily basis. And whereas Ms. Jones chose to not let this new adjustment keep her from excelling in school, physical education, and the arts, she attended junior high at Broadmoor, where she made history as the first African-American cheerleader. Following junior high, Ms. Jones went to C.E. Byrd School, where she graduated in 1978. And whereas at the age of 45, Ms. Jones made the decision to go back to school. 3 years later, she graduated from Louisiana State University, Shreveport, with a degree in the Bachelor of Arts. And whereas today, Ms. Jones is the owner and operator of Modern Beauty Shop, a local landmark established in 1958 by Miss Ann Brewster and Miss Mamie Love Wallace. She is also the author of Opening New Doors, a book of poems she wrote documenting her experience in school. And whereas Miss Jones is the mother of 3 and proud grandmother of 5, she continues to work tirelessly as a community volunteer and avid supporter of the arts and public education. Now therefore be it resolved by the Caddo Parish Commission, meeting in legal and regular session this 20th day of June 2019, that it does hereby and once again heartily commend Miss Carolyn Nadine Jones for her success and for the pride and honor she has brought to this parish. Be it further resolved that this commission does wish for Miss Jones much continued success in all her future endeavors. Signed, Stormy Gage Watts, President; Mario Chavez, Vice President; Stephen Jacks, District 3.
You may be seated.
Good afternoon, Commission.
Good afternoon.
It's a pleasure to be here. I had no idea you all would get to hear some of my life story today, but it sounds very exciting on paper.
Absolutely.
I am so pleased to be here today, and it's such a prestigious honor, and I'd like to thank Commissioner Jackson for recognizing me and the few milestones I've accomplished in my life, but I'm still going. I'm still at Modern Beauty Shop. That was established a little before 1958, but in its present site at 1544 Milam Street has been there. We just recognized 60 years in that location. Really, this is the 61st year. And we will be doing some historical tours there. Not only did I have an interesting road, but the history of the beauty shop is very rich. Civil rights leaders, Mamie Love Wallace and the late Ann Brewster, started Modern Beauty Shop. And they meant so much to this community, were instrumental in bringing Dr. King here at least twice. And they themselves have very important legacies to this community. They were fighters, they were in the trenches, they worked for voting rights. They gave the test, the literary test, to receive your voting rights because people of color had to pass a test.
Yes.
I imagine all people did, but especially we had to have help with those things. So they did down through the years. Miss Mamie and Miss Bernice Smith, who was my direct mentor and passed away 9 years ago this December. I had such a beautiful mentoring experience. I was a little child in this beauty shop. I was a little older than my granddaughter. And when I was coming there with my mother and my 2 sisters, it was an experience to watch these women work. They did hair, they took care of nails, they took care of problems, they took care of community issues. They met late at night, they worked tirelessly each day to make things better, not only for the Allendale community, but for the city at large. Yes. And I appreciate Commissioner Jackson for being that support and seeing the value in recognizing the accomplishments of those who have worked tirelessly. I'm not tired yet. Doing beauty shop tours starting June 29th, which is next Saturday at 10 a.m. If anyone is interested in coming through to see not only the workplace of these civil rights pioneers, but to hear the history of Modern and the Lighthouse building. Bunyan Jacobs built this building, a black man, by starting his own company, selling shares, $30,000 worth for $10 a share. At that time, that was an amazing feat after he attended the University of Indiana and majored in insurance. So be that as it may, I'll reel it in and just let you know that if you're interested in hearing more about Modern and its legacy or my very own story, my books are for sale at the beauty shop, $10 a copy. Opening New Doors, a short book of poetry based on my Crystal Elementary experiences. And you can also sign up for the tours at 318-422-4540. That is being spearheaded by my daughter, Chloe Duplessis, and the Duplessis Agency. Check out the duplessisagency.com. They're busy, 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 recognizing the contributions of creative entrepreneurs in this area and across the nation. Thank you so much for this honor.
Thank you, Ms. Johnson. Congratulations. Next item, Mr. Clerk.
Okay, next we have a resolution of recognition to Miss Lisa K. Ivory.
Okay. Commissioner Johnson. Louis Johnson.
Yes, thank you very much. First of all, I'd like to thank the commission, my fellow commissioners, for your support on this resolution. Of course, in order to add it on Monday, I needed your support, so I thank each of you. I also want to thank especially Commissioner Lynn Carthen, who has joined me on the resolution because he is a graduate of Booker T. Washington High School, and our President Stormy Gage Watts, who also is joining me as a show of empowerment and support for all females that's doing great things. I'm really proud to do this resolution. Thank you for your support. And if you would, please, we can stand. And I will ask that Chief Ivory and whomever you choose to meet me at the podium.
Please stand.
Stormy, you want to tell anybody who wants to take pictures?
Yes. If there's anyone who would like to take pictures, you're welcome to come up and take pictures.
Y'all come tight. Come tight.
In the name and by the authority of the Caddo Parish Commission, resolution of recognition to Ms. Lisa K. Ivory. Whereas the Caddo Parish Commission desires to give appropriate recognition to those men and women of Caddo Parish who serve and protect the community on a daily basis and who, in doing so, reflect favorably and positively upon themselves, their families, and all the citizens of this parish. And whereas such an individual as Ms. Lisa K. Ivory, who on June 1st, 2019, was promoted to the position of Battalion Chief within the Shreveport Fire Department. And whereas Battalion Chief Ivory has proudly served the Shreveport Fire Department and also has the proud distinction of having worked at the only female staffed fire station in the history of the Shreveport Fire Department. Chief Ivory, while serving the city of Shreveport, also proudly served 17 years in the U.S. military, serving 8 years in the U.S. Army, and then 9 years in the U.S. Navy and Marine Corps. During that time, Chief Ivory graduated first in her training class, and she also served as a combat-trained police officer. And whereas Chief Ivory has spent countless hours overcoming obstacles and often doing what others could not do, presently the only female to serve in this position and only the second to ever serve in this capacity. Chief Ivory's promotion is a significant highlight, not only to her accomplishments, but recognizes her hard work, persistence, and determination to succeed at all costs. Chief Ivory stands as a shining example and beacon of encouragement to those females that follow her in the fire profession. And whereas Chief Ivory is thankful to her Lord for keeping her safe throughout her dangerous career, and to her mother Rosalie Ivory, her greatest inspiration, who throughout her life provided her with love, encouragement, and direction. Chief Ivory's lifelong goal has been to make her mother and her family proud. Now therefore be it resolved by the Caddo Parish Commission that it does hereby declare and proclaim Thursday, June 18th, 2019 as Chief Lisa K. Ivory Day in Caddo Parish, Louisiana, and extends its most sincere and hearty expressions of appreciation and congratulations to Chief Ivory, and hope that she enjoys her promotion while continuing to bring quality leadership for the Shreveport Fire Department.
You all may be seated.
Oh, well, although this is a hard thing to do, I have finally in my life been punked. I tried to keep it together, but those words were so beautiful. And as a result, I have not the words to portray what I'm feeling here today. I can only say that this is the greatest honor that I can think that I have ever been bestowed. And I had quite a list as he read off, but there is none greater than standing here today before you, Commissioner Watts,
Oh, bless
Commissioner
you.
Carver, and Commissioner Johnson especially, and the entire commission, and all of you standing here, my friends and beloved family. I don't have the words. All I can say is thank you all so much.
Congratulations.
I just want to say thank you, Commissioner Johnson, all the commissioners for supporting this resolution. Chief Ivory, as of this August, will have served 29 years for the Shreveport Fire Department and our citizens. That's a lot of years of service.
Yeah.
And she's not finished yet. I think some of those tears of joy
15 months, yes.
for she's getting close to her retirement. And I think some of that emotion is, you know, we see that coming to a close. And there's a chapter that always ends, but there's always another chapter that God opens. So we're very proud of her. She's been a great example for women in the fire service. Probably never be able to put a number to the women that she's encouraged and recruited to come to work for us.
Yes.
Really can't put a price tag on that. So we want to thank her for her service and thank y'all again for recognizing her today. This is a great feat for her, great promotion. Battalion chief. If you're not familiar with what a battalion chief is, they oversee about 4 to 5 stations and supervise that entire battalion. So a lot of great responsibility comes with that. With every promotion comes more responsibility. And she is more than worthy and has all my confidence of filling that role. So congratulations to you today.
Thank you, Chief.
Let's go back to regular session.
Well, Madam President, while we're under rules being suspended, I move that we adopt both of those special resolutions
And it's
and then go
second.
back into regular session.
Okay, and it's been seconded by the chair. Please vote. Okay, and both of those resolutions have been adopted, 11-0, as well as moving back into regular session.
Okay, this time here I have agenda additions.
I have none.
I have none, ma'am. Move to citizen comments.
Okay. Citizens who wish to address the commission on any issue other than zoning, please fill out a comment card located in the chamber foyer and return to the president or the clerk of the commission. Individual comments are limited to 3 minutes. Citizens who wish to address the commission on matters relative to public hearings, items listed on the agenda only, will be limited to a total of 15 minutes each, for or against an issue. Those who wish to speak or make a presentation are asked to select their speakers and address the points they wish considered with this limitation in mind. The first one I have, comments, visitor card, is Craig Toys. Good afternoon, Mr. Toys, and welcome.
Thank you very much. With your indulgence, I am going to read this as my wife says I talk too much and get off point. Thank you, commissioners, for allowing me to speak. My name is Craig Toys. I am the 3rd generation owner of Max's Pawn Shops. We have 4 locations in Shreveport and Bossier. My grandfather, Max, started our business in 1935. My father came back from the Army in the early 60s, and my uncle came back to the business in the mid-70s. And I grew up running around downtown Shreveport and came back from LSU in 1984. My wife of 33 years, Georgette, runs the office and makes sure that the bills are paid. We now have a 4th generation coming in with our oldest daughter and a son-in-law from our other daughter. You cannot stay in business for over 84 years in one community by taking advantage of anyone. We have tens of thousands of customers in this community who have made hundreds of thousands of loans with us over these 84 years. Never have we asked a customer to pay on their non-recourse collateral loan. Never have we taken a customer to court for payment or ruined their credit rating like other loan institutions do. We have built strong relationships with our customers in this community by providing short-term cash loans against personal property. In many cases, that item is their only asset that can get them the gas money to get to work, to pay a water bill, or buy groceries. Our average loan is under $80. A pawn customer can pay on, reduce, or redeem their loan, or not pay anything at all, and it's treated like they have sold it. No fees, no obligations. That customer's business is welcome and appreciated in the future to pawn, sell, trade, or buy with us. Anytime anything that concerns my livelihood and my family business is attacked, I eagerly accept the opportunity and responsibility to defend, inform, and educate about my business. We have studies made by the Federal Reserve Bank that shows the need by the underserved, unbanked population for pawn shops and their importance to the economy. We are part of this community and want to see our community grow and thrive. I want my children and grandchildren to stay here and encourage everything to keep them here. We have 20 employees that depend on us to help support their families. We have issues that need to be addressed in this community, but this resolution, including pawn shops, is not an issue to this problem. We need to encourage small business development, not to run them away. I respectfully ask the Commission to reject the proposed resolution that includes pawn shops. I apologize because I don't know the protocol here. My comments are based on resolution number 50 of 2019 that would mandate a moratorium on certain lending institutions, including pawn shops. My concern is only on the pawn shops, and to show that we are totally a different entity and are regulated by the Office of Financial Institutions totally differently than other lending institutions. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Mr. Toy. The next card I have is Edward Best.
Good afternoon,
Good
Commissioner.
afternoon, Mr. Best.
I just want to take a minute to thank the commissioners for allowing me to speak today. I'm going to pick up where Mr. Toys left off. I've been in the pawn business for going on 20 years now. I'm the managing partner of Discount Jewelry and Loan here in Shreveport. And I want to start off with ensuring that everybody on the commission understands how a pawn shop works. We service a community that has no other means to hard cash, okay? Our average loan is $150, which compared to Mr. Toys is a bit higher. We are in a different area than him. Every pawn shop is different, okay? Our customers come to us for many different reasons. Diapers for their kids, formula, if they have a utility bill that just pops up out of nowhere. Where else are they gonna go if we were not allowed to do business? I just don't understand what the issue with us doing the business the way we do it, the same way it's been done for hundreds and thousands of years. It's never been an issue before, okay? I could give you hundreds of examples of single moms and single dads that have had to come to me over the almost 20 years that I've been in this business with stories of issues that they've had, okay? And it would break your heart if I went into it, okay? I know I've talked to Commissioner Chavez about it. I've talked to Commissioner Jackson about it. They've heard some of the stories, and I mean, it would break your heart, okay? We do everything that we can to ensure that that whatever we do is for our customers. Without pawn shops, these types of issues would never be resolved for our customers, and y'all have to understand that, okay? They wouldn't have a way to pay those utility bills or to get that $10 worth of gas to get to work. So pawn shops are the only non-recourse loans that are offered to consumers. Think about that. We are the only ones offered. Anybody else, if they were to go and get a $200 loan from, say, Carter Federal Credit Union, okay, if they didn't repay that loan, what would happen? Who's going to repay the bank? The bank would then go after that customer. They would call and harass them, ask them for their money, and if they didn't get it, what would they do with that money or with that loan? They would pass that on to a debt collection agency that would then in turn go after the customer. Am I correct? I mean, okay, they would garnish their wages, they would sue them. What makes a bank like that any different than a payday loan? No different. It's the same exact thing a payday loan does. So that's where we're different. The customer comes in, gets the loan, they decide not to come back and pick it up, there's no recourse. Nothing goes back against them. So I need y'all to understand that. And that's the reason that we need to be looked at as a different entity than payday loan. So thank y'all for understanding that. Kind of got off course there a little bit. Thank you guys very much. I spent my 3 minutes, so
Thank you,
thank you
Mr.
very
Best.
much.
We cannot have direct dialogue, so that's why we didn't answer your question. Okay, next comment card is Robert Handy.
Good evening, Commissioners, and thanks for having us here. I only brought this
afternoon,
paper
Mr.
because everybody else has something. I don't have anything written on it.
Mr. Handy, before you begin, I'm just gonna ask all of those who are going to speak about resolution number 50 to get closer to the front. If you've already filled out a comment card to speak about the, resolution number 50, that includes predatory lending.
Okay.
Thank you.
Oh, you're welcome.
You have 3 minutes,
I
sir.
specifically want to speak on the payday lending, not the pawn shops. I'm very much against the payday lending, the predatory loan lending. He spoke about all the different customers that they have helped that's been in need. I can tell you some stories of other residents of other peoples that needed the money but got caught up in this cycle. Someone that has a child that got sick, they work every day, make a paycheck, living from paycheck to paycheck, and the child gets sick, and all of a sudden they have a doctor bill, and they need that extra cash, and they go to these payday loan lenders, and they get that extra cash, and the difference in that is when they make that payment, they pay that loan back, they have to pay it all at once. So if I was short cash last week when I came and got this loan, so now I come back to you and pay you $325 on a $175 loan. Now I'm really short of cash. And before you even take that money out of my hand, you reminded me, now you know you can get this money back. And that's what I'm against. I'm against that type of loan, that type of lending. And it's bringing people in on a rotation basis. And I just want to say enough is enough. We have enough of those, particularly in our black communities. We have enough of them. I'm not saying that they don't serve a purpose to some peoples, but it's the principle in which they lay out their practice that I'm against.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Marvin T. Muhammad. Good afternoon, Mr. Muhammad. You have 3 minutes.
Good afternoon, Madam President, and also to the Commission, Marvin T. Muhammad. I've been robbed. I was robbed when I believed that if I take my item, because I was strapped for cash, because my family didn't have groceries, I was robbed. I was robbed when it was time to make due on that collateral item. I couldn't pay it in full, so I was given the option to pay a fee to carry my item on. It's a cycle. The gentleman said that they have no other recourse but to come to us. That's the point. The goal is, and we commend Commissioner Jackson, is to put a halt onto issuing permits, not to those who are already in business, but put a halt to to permits that would give others an opportunity to be a bloodsucker of the poor. As is stated in the resolution, the 1977 Reinvestment Act was to help fight against urban decay and rot. These pawn shops are situated, one, the intersection of MLK and North Market, servicing the MLK community. One at Hollywood and Jewella, serving the Motown community. One at Jewella and Milton, I believe, serving the Queensboro community. Another at I believe on Hollywood and St. Vincent, going into the City Grove community. They have set themselves up, as they say, for the last 100 years to continue to feed off the lease. This cannot continue. Sadly, as I close, modern day economists and monetary policymakers, they're blinded by three things: PMI, prices, money, and interest rates. There's an old adage that say to let the market set the price. But my position is that the market cannot bear the price. We learned this all so hard in the collapse of the 2007-2008 housing market with the overabundance of subprime loans. These pawn shops, these payday loan institutions, the lower income bracket working class families cannot bear the cost.
Thank you, Mr. Muhammad.
Thank you.
Our next comment card is Cedric Murphy.
Is the second mic on?
Yes, sir, it's on.
Okay, Commissioners.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
You have 3 minutes, sir.
Okay. Excuse me. I just wanted to mention from my own experience that the payday loans and the pawn shops are contagious. They do provide a service, but that service lends to make you be more desperate. It allows you to have a temporary fix, and that temporary fix causes problems because you wind up in a cycle, and that cycle is contagious. So by opening up more or permitting more, instead of trying to fix the issue or trying to get ways to find something different, to me, is just only gonna cause more problems. Because like I said, I was stuck in that cycle. The payday loan came due, I had to pay it, I'm broke. I had to go find something to pawn. I couldn't pay that back. So it's a cycle. It's just something that the under-deserved population that one of the guys mentioned, that population has made them rich. That's why they've been able to continue for so long. Somebody's making some money, you know, and to stay in business, you have to have an item or have to have a service that people need. We need something more. We don't need more of the same problem. We don't need more of the same issue that's causing this continuous cycle. By adding more, we're adding to the problem. All I'm just saying is that we need to think about something that we could provide, something different, because when you go to these services, you're desperate. You're selling your grandparents' jewelry. You're pawning your children's toys. You're doing things that's not natural just to stay afloat of this loan or not reaching the issue you started with by needing some help. A bill does come due. You pay that bill, and then the bill for the loan comes due. So you got two bills you're working with. All I'm just saying is that both the payday loan and the pawn shops are contagious. I don't think we need more of them. The ones that are already established, people need to make money, people need to have a business, but adding to the problem is all we will be doing if we allow more of these things to open, more of these things to exist. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Murphy. The next card is Rudolph Glass Jr. I said Rudolph Glass Jr. I saw you wave, Mr. Glass, Robert Glass. Welcome, Mr. Glass. You have 3 minutes.
Okay, good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Rudolph Glass. The people that came before me explained it well. I happen to be a victim of a payday loan. I had a small issue and I needed some money quick, and that was the only route I could take. I did, and it took me about a year to get out of that. They would tell me, well, Mr. Glass, you just go ahead and you can redo your loan. And I redid my loan a number of times because I had to. Once I got out, I tell people all the time, don't even start. I would have rather, whatever I had going on, I would have rather had that, whatever was gonna happen, to keep from doing what I did with the payday loan. So, I'm a victim. I've experienced it, so I wouldn't wish that on anybody. I see other people who've done it, and it's just hard to explain how awful it is to see people in a cycle giving their money away, because it's like every month or every week you're giving your money away. So, I'm in favor of the resolution.
Thank you, Mr. Glass. Craig Beadley.
Point of order, please, Mr. President.
Yes, sir.
I think we've done our 5 at 3 minutes each. I think it's time to move on to something else.
I think if they're coming as public hearings, but these are individual comments from the citizens.
He gets 3 minutes each.
Yeah. Maybe Mr. Middleton doesn't understand procedures as it relates to this process, but you don't cap time like that. Craig Lee, Chairperson Get Up Incorporated, 1112 Prospect. I meant to bring my book that was autographed by Caddo Parish Commissioner Lynn Cawthorn. He authored a book called Let My People Go. I don't know too many people who have his background or my background in financial investments. He's Series 6, Series 7, 63. I'm Series, you're Series 7. I was Series 6, 63. So let me hit on this thing. What is the premise of capitalism? Lynn and myself came up with this concept that says capitalism is a wicked system that is predicated, it is founded on the creation, maintenance, and expansion of a permanent underclass. The root word for capitalism is capital. Now, we can look at capital one of two ways: human capital or monetary fiat currency capital, and that's pretty much what we're talking about now with predatory lenders. And unfortunately, pawn shops are included. Mr. Toys, I've done business with them, and they do good business. However, it's still predatory lending, regardless of the situation. One of the derivatives of the word capital is to capitalize. And what you have when you have a permanent underclass, you have predatory lenders who capitalize on human capital because these particular individuals are trapped in a cycle of poverty. So there should not be any expansion of any more predatory lenders, whether that is pawn shops or payday loan companies. I'm in full support of Parish Commissioner Jackson's legislation. The other gentleman referenced that there are no other means for hard cash, and where else will they go? And that is true. Where else will they go? And this is where the Parish Commission can now come in and be a good support. Now, how can you all support? I'm going to come to you guys the next meeting after talking to some of the credit unions who can now expand their services to tailor products specifically for the unbanked, the working poor, and the middle income. That's really what you guys should be doing. in terms of working with those entities so they can then tailor make those particular products. So instead of charging somebody 300% on a payday loan, they could probably charge 15, 20%. They'll still be a little bit higher, but it's not predicated on their credit score or any of the other reasons that they're not able to get these particular loans. So this is an idea that I'm proposing. The city of Shreveport has a program that deals with the unbanked, but it is not that effective. So this is a groundbreaking opportunity for you guys to be able to step to the table and work with some of the existing lenders whose mode of operation is to help the various communities thrive. And then that way, that will eliminate the predatory lenders. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Lee. Amari Hosong.
Commissioner Watts, it's Hosang. Thank you.
Hosang. I'm sorry.
It's okay. It's okay. It's very
you have
common.
3 minutes.
Thank you. My name is Amari Hosang. I am the Director of Organizing for All Streets, All People, ASAP Shreveport, and I'm very glad to be here today. Hopefully it's okay. I can talk about two things in one because
Yes, you
they're
can.
okay. Wonderful. Both of them are interlocking and interrelated. So unlike what we were previously led to believe, there are 140 million people who are in poverty or low wealth in America. And businesses like these do not close the gap, they widen the gap even more. And so I'm so glad that Commissioner Jackson has brought forth this ordinance by way of a solution. But I think it's also pertinent to look further into this issue. Now, Interfaith, which I'm sure you all are familiar with Interfaith, is an organization that has done work locally and around the state around predatory lending. And one thing that they proposed was to put a cap on interest rates. So even if you don't set a moratorium, we have to start limiting what they can charge in interest rates. And Interfaith also has created civic academies to educate folks on financial health. But I think it's also important that we uplift organizations like the United Way that has programs already in place like Bank on Shreveport and connect with grassroots communities and grassroots people who understand know and interface with folks who we're trying to reach. It's good to have a program, but if you can't reach the people that you're trying to impact, then that program is for naught. And so I also want to talk about economic disparity and poverty. I think that the business owners that came before us earlier brought up pertinent reasons as to why folks would need a payday loan. But I think those reasons are also pertinent reasons to why we have to look deeper into poverty and deeper into economic disparity and the policies that we're setting that further deepen that divide in our community. The least of us lift up the most wealthy of us. And so if we continue to push them down and marginalize them, then the wealthy of us won't be wealthy for too long and our city will not prosper. And then I want to go ahead and talk about the sagging pants ordinance because I believe that these injustices, the predatory lending and the policing are interlocking. So just last year, the Southern Poverty Law Center and the Pew Charitable Trust worked on criminal justice reform and bringing Louisiana from the most incarcerated state in the world to the second most incarcerated state in the world. Okay, and so they're continuing to do work. But ordinances like the sagging pants ordinance make that work go backwards, and we need to continue to go forward. And so I'm encouraging you all to, even if it's just to align with your other entity at the city council, I think it's important to go ahead and repeal that sagging pants ordinance because when you target folks, 98% adult males and 100% black boys. I have a black boy. He's back there. We cannot police them. Instead, let's create programs that uplift them. Let's create programs that intervene in their lives so that they're not making bad decisions. That is a community issue and it is upon, and we're going to challenge our government to do their due diligence in ensuring that black men and black boys receive the type of services that they should receive in the city of Shreveport and in the parish of Caddo. Thank you so much for allowing me to come and speak. Have a great day.
Thank you. I have 2 cards for 2 visitors that has already spoken, and that's Mr. Craig Lee, and Rudolph Glass Jr.
They may want to speak later on Saturday. That's for the sagging pants.
Did you want to speak on that also?
Just briefly. as you guys know, we helped to eliminate, repeal the sagging pants ordinance with the city of Shreveport. The one thing that I want to say to this body, it's real simple.
Mr. Lee, is it do we have an ordinance or is that a resolution for the sagging pants? Okay, it's an ordinance. Okay, I'm sorry, we'll ask you to come back. I think
Okay.
I have a few more for the same thing
Cool.
on the ordinance. We'll ask you at that time if you
Good go.
have public comments. Thank
We
you.
don't have an ordinance on the agenda.
It's not? They just want to talk about it today? Okay.
The second time.
Okay. Well, I tell you what, we'll put these on the later office. Okay? All right. I'm gonna put those under late arrivals, and these other ones are public hearings. Next item, Mr. Clerk.
Next, we move to Visitors Row, Omega, and Friends, update on Let the Good Time Roll Festival.
Okay?
Good afternoon. As Commissioner, forgive my attire. I was in the middle of setting up for the festival this weekend. I just wanted to take the opportunity to thank the Commission for what they've done, continuing supporting the Let the Good Times Roll Festival on behalf of Fred Mosley, Executive Director, and me, the new chairman of the Let the Good Times Roll Festival. I'm just excited about what we're doing and what we're bringing into the city, and I just thank you guys for your tireless and your endless amount of support you guys given us. You continue to support us, and I look forward to seeing each and every one of you this weekend at the festival Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. I appreciate you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Next item, Mr.
Next, we
Clerk.
move to adopt the regular session minutes from June 6th.
Okay, it's been moved by Commissioner Linda B. Johnson, and that was second, that was Doug.
Mike Middleton, Commissioner Middleton.
Commissioner Mike Middleton, second. Please vote. And that passes 10-0. Next item, Mr. Clerk.
Communication, committee reports, administration response to information requests from commissioners.
Okay.
President Watts, we don't have any reports today.
All right, thank you, Dr. Wilson. Commissioner Lyndon B. Johnson.
Thank you, Madam President. Last week I went to a CCAA board meeting, and in that meeting, and also talking to some citizens in Queensboro. And in that meeting, the extra guidelines that we basically have put before CCAA is making it very difficult for homeowners to be able to get their homes fixed. It takes 2 contractors, and the contractors go out and they bid, and if they're above the dollar amount that's allowed, then they can't do the work. The standards that we put in place is basically harming and basically prolonging any work that's being done. We're creating a bunch of red tape, governmental red tape, to try to get these homes fixed. The problem that's even more disturbing to me is that on top of that, someone that's a colleague of mine basically has went to law enforcement, and based upon reports that maybe they didn't quite understand, started an investigation with one of our law enforcement divisions. Now, CCAA basically gets federal money, they get state money, and they get local money. And they have many programs that they run and authorize. But to say that there was some wrongdoings in this particular deal really disturbed me, especially when I sit on the board. Third part of that is there was inquiries about me being on the board. Well, before I even accepted the role of being on the board, I got a Louisiana Attorney General's opinion to basically say, is it okay for a commissioner to sit on the board? And that opinion was that it was okay for a commissioner to sit on the board. Reason why it's okay is that we have no financial gain by sitting on the board. CCA helps many citizens in Caddo Parish. And so sitting on the board, we kind of give them some vision, some guidelines to help them operate even better. But my main thing is, one, we got people who, we put together a fund, we put together an ordinance to try to help, And with the guidelines that's in place, it's impossible to help. Second of all, to start an investigation or bring paperwork to start an investigation on the organization when you don't fully understand a report is just crazy. And third of all, to have inquiries about whether commissioners can sit on the board, ask. If you asked me, I would have told you. I would have told you where to look, I would have told you where to go to, and you would have saw the information. So, Dr. Wilson, what I'm asking now is that since the homeowners are having a hard time and it's hard time getting contractors, can we, through one of the departments, try to set up a meeting with the existing homeowners? It's not their meeting that has actually been coming back in to try to get the funding. Some of them have basically given up on it. Some of them still want to try to get their home fixed. So if we can have a meeting with the homeowners that are still trying to get it done and some contractors that is willing to help get it done, and then we can try to get that done. Because right now, we almost going on a whole nother year, and just by the grace of God, the tornadoes that came through didn't come through that same area or another area in Caddo Parish that would impacted more homes. So we need to try to close the chapter on this one, and then we can move forward in doing something else. So I'll be getting with you to see if we can try to line that up so that we can try to make that happen. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Lyndon B. Johnson. Commissioner Stephen Jackson.
Yeah, I just want to, I guess, ask a question for clarification to either Commissioner Johnson or Dr. Wilson or Attorney Frazier. We didn't put anything in place that would kind of give a waiver, because I don't even remember us putting any extra.
We
what,
didn't.
what was, I'm trying to figure out what was
The
the
guidelines?
extra, yeah.
We put in some extra guidelines that on the third round of getting that extra round of money. That was brought about, and so in order to get it passed, we accepted the guidelines.
And we didn't put anything that would say the administrator could
Relax.
or administratively
No.
look at it?
No.
Okay. All right, well, thank you.
So CCA is following those guidelines to the
To
T.
T. To-
Right, like they do everything else.
Yeah. Okay, well, thank you.
Okay.
Thank you, Madam President.
I see no further discussion.
Well, Madam President,
Okay.
thank you.
Commissioner Atkins.
Thank you, Madam President. While I was not the colleague making the inquiries that my colleague referred to, I would just like to remind us all that we did come together, talk through the issues, put in some guidelines through which we would all be comfortable putting additional funding into the pot to address these homeowners. So, you know, I think that the commission acted in good faith and good intent. Sometimes red tape does get in the way. I recognize that. Maybe we need to re-examine and figure out what we can do to, as Commissioner Johnson says, re-examine and figure out what we may need to do to, one, get the work done, but two, ensure that the money is spent appropriately and fairly. I'm certainly on board with that. Thank you, Madam President.
Thank you, Commissioner Atkins. I appreciate that because I do believe that we will have to come back with some modifications to the ordinance as it stands. Thank you. Attorney Frazier.
I would just like to update the body on two things. And that Mr. Guidry has put together, he has met with us and he's put together a list of contractors that he is getting out to the persons to see if that can jumpstart the program. Also, too, the request for 2 bids came from Mr. Guidry, who of course had to cooperate with the law enforcement investigation at the advice of his counsel. And so you may be looking at a situation where they're not willing to do any of this work if they don't have some protection in place against them having to endure that again. So what he's done as a compromise is to come up with a list. I believe Commissioner Gage Watts, you're familiar with this, where
Yes, I
he
am.
spoke with local contractor unions and got a list of contractors that he is sending out to all the persons who are eligible for funds. And that may go along with the meeting that you are requesting, Commissioner Johnson. But I just did want you to know, as of today, he sent that information too. So I did want to let you know that that was going on.
Okay. Madam President.
And, okay, I see you on there. If there is, I know at least one citizen who is here today who has received that list and also has gotten the estimates that she needs. So it is moving. It's expedited now, but it was in a very stagnant process before I got with the local unions. Commissioner Lyndon B. Johnson?
Yeah, one of the other issues too is we asked that the Red Cross redo a certificate on the homes. And in doing so, if some of the homeowners made some corrections or modified their homes because of the hole in the roof or a thing like that, they didn't go in and look at the damage. They just basically looked at the damage from the outside and then reclassified the home. So there's another issue because no one went inside these homes when they did the reclassification. And so they went from a major to a minor just on the exterior and not looking at what happened on the inside as well. So we need to look at that too to see if that was the appropriate way to do that.
Attorney Frazier?
And it's my understanding too that he has also sent CCAA personnel inspectors, the ones that do the inspectors for their storm damage, to go out and re-inspect the homes also and make some recommendations if they see something that's out of line with those classifications.
But they're also holding to that Red Cross certification. So even if they see more damage to the home, if Red Cross said it's minor damage, that's it. That's all they're gonna get. So the process is messed up a little bit, and I think we need to try to straighten it out in order for the homeowners to get their houses fixed right.
Commissioner Johnson, also the process that Attorney Frazier is talking about, they're doing a pre-inspection. And the second time around when American Red Cross went out, they actually gave those slips to the agency and not to the individual homeowner. So we probably do need to get with Red Cross to see if you would like to extend what they've already done on the second time around, to see if they can do anything. But the pre-inspection is setting them at a better precedence than what they were.
Well, I'm just asking if they go out on a pre-inspection and they look and they see that it still has major damage, are they gonna go to the major damage category, or they gonna keep to the Red Cross? Because that's what they've been doing.
Basically, what you have in your ordinance is that they have to adhere to that Red Cross inspection.
Right. So,
however, if the re-inspections were done under the same standards that the first inspections were done, then I don't see how you can make a difference in the way the inspections were done, because then you start having people who were classified as minor that maybe should have been classified as major during the first round. So whatever standard they started, as long as they've kept the same standard, whatever standard you started off with should be the standard that you keep.
right, that's what I'm saying. But if Red Cross went out initially after the storm and said it was major damage, so between the time that Red Cross went out the second time, the homeowner made some changes. They fixed the roof, they cut the tree up, they did something. They got the electrical hook back up. Then when they went back out the second time, they see the roof fixed. They see the electrical hooked up. So they reclassified as from major to minor. So now you go and CCA is going out and they're looking inside of the home and they're seeing the damage that's still inside that the homeowner hasn't fixed. But they see that they fixed the roof, they got the electrical hooked up, but the inside is still messed up based upon what happened during the tornado. So now they have it as major because they seen on the inside. The second time for United Way, they didn't go inside. They went around the exterior. So you have a second round that wasn't the same as the first round. And that's what I'm saying. And that's the problem that the homeowners are running into. And if you say that the pre-inspection goes out and they see that it's major damage, but they're gonna be held to our guidelines to say, well, what did United Way say? And if they say that it's minor, then you got two different classifications, but they're gonna be held to the lower one. But moving forward, we'll have the meeting, and then I'll have to bring back another change to the ordinance.
Okay. Thank you, Commissioner Lyndon B. Johnson.
You're welcome.
Okay. See no other commissioners?
President's report.
All right. Happy Thursday again, everyone. The day after Juneteenth and World Sickle Cell Awareness Day. Yesterday, it was not just a trending topic, it was a discussion at the House Judiciary Committee that met intentionally on June 19th to discuss H.R. 40 about slavery reparations. And of course, Louisiana got a spotlight, not in such a positive way with the commentary, but it is my hope that Representative Sheila Jackson Lee of Texas remarks will be the one that will be remembered the most. And I'll quote it now. If you did not hear it, it says, "If not now, then when?" And speaking of Juneteenth celebrations, Let the Good Times Roll Festival, as you've already heard, is being held this weekend. We hope that you all get out and get a chance to enjoy the festival. This annual event is a great opportunity to spend time with your family and friends, great entertainment, good food, and we're elated to be able to partner with these event coordinators every year. I hope that you're there to experience the richness of Shreveport's historical culture, as Sam Cooke was treated horribly, so bad in 1963 that he was denied access to Holiday Inn on North Market. He was arrested there for disturbing the peace when he was only trying to check into a room. So, because of that, he was charged to perform in front of officers deplorably. In fact, Mr. Sam Cooke's hit song, "A Change Is Gonna Come," was written about the experience of the pain and the hurt from the Shreveport Police Department. But this weekend, Mayor Adrian Perkins will issue a formal apology to Sam Cooke's youngest daughter, Carla, on stage at the Good Times Roll Festival at 6:30 on Saturday evening. And we're grateful that change is coming to Shreveport by acknowledging, through apologizing, to move forward in a positive way. Speaking of Mayor Perkins, today, Mayor Perkins, the CAO of Bossier Parish, Ms. Pam, and I were judges for the Steak Cook-Off Live on KTBS set, where we had some delicious steak that was prepared by the morning and evening anchors. The morning team was decided by unanimous decision that was the best steak that we've ever had. So congratulations to KTBS morning anchors once again, and thank you all for the invitation to judge the best tasting steak contest. I was glad to see that the bill for the Louisiana seafood has passed and been signed by the governor. So we're looking forward to seeing those signs on the restaurant doors and menus. Vice President Chavez, thank you for bringing that resolution forward. That is the reason why we urge other entities to pay attention what we're talking about, because it actually works sometimes. Next, I want to say to everyone that we're truly blessed after last night tornado threats and the thunderstorms that there were no casualties or injuries that have been reported. We are in prayer for those across the river in Bossier Parish, and just want to remind everyone to be mindful that we've had a lot of rain and the grounds are soaked. So be careful and beware of the potential trees that could fall down. Our Executive Director of Louisiana Police Jury Association, Mr. Guy Comier, he says that he listens to us all the time, so I hope he's listening today. We thank you again for that Louisiana legislative update that you brought forth to Caddo Parish Commission on Monday. And in one of your comments, you mentioned about our connections to NACO and to the Police Jury Association about us sharing information. And on Tuesday, after a very perplexed meeting, I left there, wanting answers, and I got on a conference call. And I believe that conference call with NACO gave more resolution as examples of solutions that would help us with most of the issues that we discussed. So thank you for sharing that information, and you're exactly right. It's a great incentive to be a part of that organization. Switching gears again, congratulations to our new interim assistant CEO, Ms. Erica Bryant. I believe that she's an excellent choice and the best person for the job who happens to be a woman. Next, there will be a Human Trafficking Awareness Conference that Northwest Louisiana hosted by Juvenile Services. And if you're looking to learn more about mental health, human trafficking, and your nonprofit organization or your lawyer, teacher, are interested in being educated about human trafficking, contact Juvenile Services or Volunteers of Youth Justice. I think I see Miss Muriel Burns back there from Juvenile, and you can get some more information. Commissioner Johnson has already shared the current status of the Tornado Assistance Program, and that will conclude my report. Hope everyone have a blessed and safe weekend. Next item, Mr.
Next,
Clerk.
we move to public hearing on zoning ordinances and cases. Ordinance number 5882 of 2019 in regards to zoning case P819, amending the zoning property located at the northeast corner of Akron Street and Womack Road, Caddo, Parish, Louisiana, from RA Rural Agriculture Zoning District to RMHS Residential Manufactured Home Subdivision Zoning District.
Okay. Is there anyone here to speak in favor of ordinance number 5852? Is there anyone here to speak against ordinance number 5882? I see none. I declare this public hearing on ordinance number 5882 closed.
That closes public hearing on zoning ordinance. We move to zoning hearing on regular ordinances. Ordinance number 5883 of 2019, amending the budget of estimate revenues and expenditures for the capital outlay fund and the amount of $55,976 to increase appropriation for the Pine Hill Road Bridge.
Okay, is there anyone here to speak in favor of ordinance number 5883? Is there anyone here to speak against ordinance number 5883? I see none. I declare this public hearing on ordinance number 5883 closed.
Ordinance number 5884, 2019, amending the budget of estimate revenues and expenditures for the Economic Development Fund and the amount of $20,000 to provide an appropriation for Zeta Phi Beta Sorority Incorporated.
Okay, is there anyone here to speak in favor of ordinance number 5884? And I do have one card, Ms. Irma D. Rogers.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
President Watts, Vice President Chavez, Dr. Wilson, and all of the other of the commissioners here. I've been before you before about this. Last week, I want to thank you, President Watts, for coming out and extending your greetings to the crowd. We had approximately about 1,000 people at the public hearing. I think you were there, and I think you saw all of them. Our mayor did stop by. He had to leave. And we also had the key presented from Bossier City. So approximately 750 of the sorority sisters for Zeta Phi Beta Sorority Incorporated, an international sorority, were in attendance. More than 900 were there, about 750 registered, but you had more than 900 with just our sorority. Also, our Sigma brothers were in attendance. The Amici, who are known as the Friends of Zetas, were in attendance. The Pearlettes, the Amiquettes, and the Zeta Male Connection for about 2,000 individuals in the city up on last week for approximately 4 days. I have brought to you in the work sessions the copy from the Tourist Bureau. At the time that I gave these numbers to Mr. Bradley, I did not have all of the vendors. So I don't think his figures will include the vendors. And there were 31 vendors at the conference. So there's another figure that probably needs to be in here. And if you look at what the business sales were, I think Mr. Atkins and Mr. Cawthorn should have those copies, and Mr. Johnson and whomever was on that committee. More than 780,000 impact. It's probably closer to the $1 million that we had put in the program. We do want to thank all of you for your consideration of this. There should be a great economic impact for the city because of all of the people who are here. I do know that the Hilton was booked completely. They sent for extra rooms at Sam's Town, and then they were referred, and these figures will come from Mr. Bradley, they were referred to the Holiday Inns. But you also had sorority sisters who were living at the El Dorado also, because I picked some of them up, so I know they were there. We're kind of tired because we did have to host. It was quite a bit. but we do thank you for considering this. I do want to tell you, because I've not told you this in my past meetings, but just from our chapter alone, there are 2 chapters, Beta Epsilon chapter, Beta Epsilon Zeta, and Zeta Iota Zeta chapter. I am a member of Zeta Iota Zeta chapter. We have one sister and her husband, Mrs. Helen Amin and her husband, Mr. Amin, since 1992. Their totals towards scholarships, which is one of our foundations, is more than $382,700,000 in that time frame. Just to let you know. When we give our scholarships out at a breakfast the last Saturday in April, not only does Zeta, Iota Zeta chapter, present our scholarships, this year's $17,700 came from the Amin Foundation, $5,800 came from the sorority. So when we pull these funds, out of the funds that we're pulling to host, to help to host, yes, we have another chapter sitting there, but we have more members than the other chapters, so we pay more. But when we pull these funds to host, we don't like to take away our funding for the children that we support. Some of these children get at least $4,000. That's at least $1,000 a year, what is looked at as almost a free ride if they can come up with the other portion. So I did want to let you know about our largest bases. We work with several other entities when we call it Z-Hope, Zeta's helping others to achieve. All of those things, and you can ask some of the organizations, other nonprofits who are here in town about us, they will tell you they showed up. Pan-Hellenic Council, most of the other Greek letter organizations did show up for this occasion, and we were the second choice in this. So we think we put on the best that we could, the best of the best, to offer Shreveport and Bossier as coming of age for hosting conventions of this size. Thank you for any consideration.
Thank you, Ms. Rogers. And if you have anything that you want to leave, you can just give it to Deputy Clerk Michelle Nations, and she'll get it to us. Okay? Is there anyone here to speak against ordinance number 5884? I see none. I declare this public hearing on ordinance number 5884 closed.
Ordinance number 5885 of 2019 to amend Article 6, Chapter 26 of the Code of Ordinances of the Parish of Caddo relative to Section 26-182, Schedule A, speed limits on Calumet Drive.
Okay. Is there anyone here to speak in favor of ordinance number 5885? I do have one card, Mr. Hugh Dean.
Briefly, Commissioners, I'm Hugh Dean. I'm associated with the Oak Point Place Homes Association. It's a homeowners association that is out at the end of Calumet. Calumet provides access to sole access to our development, and we have 11 families, 13 properties. Calumet also serves another 60 families or so in that area, direct access to them. And we are in 100% favor of this ordinance to establish 40 miles per hour for a speed limit that Mr. Johnson has proposed. We hope that you will pass that, respectfully so. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Dean.
If I may.
Yes, you may.
Madam President, Commissioners, my name is Sandra Haney. I live at the corner of Calumet Drive and Leisure Lane. And Mr. Johnson, thank you for taking my phone call. I did call I've lived out there for 23 years, over 23 years, and raised 5 children, 5 teenage drivers. We really always assumed that the speed limit was 40 because as you're coming off a very populated Tacoma with lots of homes, it's 40, and then you turn onto Calumet. We always assumed it was 40, and that's what we observed all these years. None of my children's had a car accident. In fact, I've never been aware of any car accidents on that road, 23 years. It's been very safe driving there at 40 miles an hour. I think it should continue. When I saw the sign go up at 25, I thought it was a joke. I thought it was maybe someone's birthday joke or something. But anyway, I have pictures that I took. If anyone is interested, I just snapped them as I was walking one day and one day in my car. You can see it's very rural. We had 3 horses. We have 6 acres. I think it's safe at 40, and agree with the amendment to keep it. 40.
Thank
Change it back to
you.
40.
All right.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Would you like the pictures?
You can give them to Deputy Clerk, Ms. Michelle Nations, and she'll give them to us.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right. Is there anyone here to speak against ordinance number 58? Where are we? 5885. I see none. Okay, I declare this public hearing on ordinance number 5885 closed.
That closes the public hearing on ordinances. We move to zoning ordinance for final passage. Ordinance number 5882 of 2019 in regards to zoning case P-8-19.
Move to uphold the decision of the
Second.
FPC and to deny the zoning change.
Okay, it was moved by Commissioner Lyndon B. Johnson. It was second by Commissioner Stephen Jackson. See no discussion? Please vote. Okay, and that passes 11-0. Next item, Mr. Clerk.
Next, we move to ordinances for final passage. Ordinance number 5883, amending the budget of estimate revenues and expenditures for the capital outlay
Point of
Fund.
order. Where is he going?
fund of 55,976 to increase appropriation for the Pine Hill Road.
So moved. Point of order.
Wait, Todd. I thought we said that we wasn't gonna have folks just walking in the back. What's going on? We've got mail
I'm
back
reading,
there.
so I did not see who went back there.
Okay.
So,
Excuse me, I had to move it to my phone. The phone's not there.
I appreciate that, Mr. Jackson.
Thank you. Mr. Clerk?
So I move to pass this ordinance.
Second.
Okay, that was moved by Commissioner Doug Dominic, and that was second by Commissioner Lyndon B. Johnson. I see no discussion. Please vote. Okay, and that passes 11-0.
That's moved to ordinance number 5884, amending the budget of estimate revenues and expenditures for the Economic Development Fund in the amount of $20,000 to provide an appropriation for the Zeta Phi Beta sorority.
So move.
Second was moved by Commissioner Lynn Carthorne and second by the chair. See no discussion. Please vote. And that passes 9-2. Next item, Mr. Clerk.
Ordinance number 5885 of 2019, amend the Article 5-6 of Chapter 26 of the Code of Ordinances of the Parish of Caddo relative to Section 26-182.
Move to adopt.
Second. Okay, that was moved by Commissioner Lyndon B. Johnson and second by the chair. No discussion. Please vote.
Mr. Hopkins, can you ask the IT to come over? My computer's frozen. Thank you.
I don't know if this is connecting.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, Major.
Can't see anything.
Mr. Chavez, you need to vote, sir.
I think you did.
Yeah,
He did.
my screen's frozen.
Mr. Hopkins, while we're at it, mine locked up a couple of times, but it freed up. I don't know if IT could look at all these, please.
All the technology you do, Mark, you can work with computer, man. Alt control delete.
Old school paper.
Okay, and that passes 11-0.
Alt control delete. You can control this computer like that.
Okay.
Number 15.
Next, we'll move to zoning ordinances for introduction by title. There are none. Ordinances for introduction by title. Ordinance number 5887 of 2019, amending the budget of estimate revenues and expenditures for the Riverboat Fund in the amount of $43,000 to provide an appropriation of $20,000 to Providence House, $15,000 to Hope Connections, and $8,000 to Northwest Louisiana Golf and Education Foundation. Ordinance number 5888 of 2019, amending the budget of estimate revenues and expenditures for the Public Works Fund and the Capital Outlay Fund in the amount of $50,000 to provide an appropriation to install welcome signs on I-49. Ordinance number 5889 of 2019, declaring certain adjudicated properties to be surplus and to authorize the parish administrator or a designee to sell the parish of Caddo's tax interest in certain surplus adjudicated properties. Just to note, final passage will be July 18th on these. Next, we need to
Move to
So
ratify.
moved.
Second.
Okay, it's moved by the chair, and I think that was seconded by Commissioner Lyndon B. Johnson. Please vote.
We already voted on it. Yeah, we did. You wanna look at those, or? I know, we'll give them back, I'll give them back to Michelle. I think everybody's good with that.
And that passes 11-0.
And next we move to resolutions. Resolution number 50, 2019, urging and requesting the city of Shreveport to enact a moratorium on issuing permits for payday loan shops and pawn shops.
So moved to adopt.
Second.
Commissioner Jackson, would you like to speak on your motion?
Yes, I'd first like to offer up a set of amendments before we could take that up. I'd like to amend, and I have multiple amendments, so how do I need to, can I just do them one by one?
Commissioner, since you have them printed, I would suggest that you make a motion to substitute this amended copy.
Okay, I would like to make a substitute motion, or a motion.
A motion to substitute the amended.
I would like to make a motion to adopt the substitute version that has been placed at everybody's desk. It strikes out all language dealing with pawn shops. It adds in that we would like to encourage, the commission encourages mainstream financial services such as banks, community banks, credit unions, and financial literacy. It talks about the Community Reinvestment Act. Again, it goes on to strike out in the now and therefore be it, in the first now and therefore be it resolved, it strikes out pawn shops again. And it encourages and requests the City of Shreveport and Metropolitan Planning Commission to give careful consideration to permitting business at the former J.P. Morgan Chase business located at 332 East 70th Street, if I can get a second.
Second.
Okay. We have a substitute motion on the floor. Commissioner Jackson, by Commissioner Stephen Jackson, and that was seconded by Commissioner Lynn Carthorne?
Yes.
Okay. Commissioner Jackson?
Yes, and I just, one, I want to apologize if someone felt that they had been attacked. As I have stated the whole time, that this is not about attacking anybody. This is about ensuring that neighborhoods within our communities have equitable investment in them. We cannot continue to have neighborhoods overrun with payday loan, pawn shops, and liquor stores. That is not substantive development. And when we are expecting individuals to be products of their environments, when a person wakes up and sees despair and hopelessness, that's what they take on a lot of times. And we have to do our part to correct those wrongs. I also want to apologize if someone was given misinformation, because I think just like the alleged wrongdoing with CCAA, I think there was some alleged misinformation that was given out saying that someone would be shut down. It was said that we're not allowed to do business, but this has never been about shutting anybody down. I've said that from the very beginning. This has never been about shutting anybody down. This has been about new permits. And so the notion that there's no recourse, if you take something somewhere and you say, and on the premises that I'm going to get it back, if you're not able to pay, you don't get that item back. And so I don't want to create unnecessary commotion. What I want to do is work with the city council. There's a person at the city council that is ready to take this effort up, that has already reached out. and ready to move this effort forward. But I do want to thank Commissioner Matthew Lynn, who has always kind of reminded me that we got to compromise. And so he's worked with me throughout yesterday, last night, and today on this compromise. And, you know, so I'm not weighted to just that, if that's what will get the ball rolling and keep us going. But again, I want to emphasize that this would not shut anybody down. This is not to stop anybody from doing business, but this is to make a statement, number one, to Chase Bank, that there was a willing and ready partner to provide financial literacy and financial services in that location. And to just arbitrarily say no, based on the Community Reinvestment Act, they have an obligation to this community to make sure our community has access to credit as well as deposits. That's what they have an obligation to do to this community, not leave our communities overrun by bank deserts. And we have to hold them accountable, just like people who come down here and get incentives. We hold them accountable. So in the spirit of compromise, I'm all for taking our pawn shops if they feel attacked. That's not what I'm here to debate. I'm here to debate equitable investment in our communities throughout all of Shreveport and Caddo Parish. With that, thank you, Madam President.
Okay, thank you, Commissioner Jackson. Commissioner Doug Dominic?
Oh, I just wanted to remind everybody that, you know, this is just requesting the Shreveport City. It's no legal authority that we're doing. It's a resolution requesting the city of Shreveport to enact the moratorium. So, however, we know how we're going to vote on this, so we've been down this road a couple of times, so I'm going to be quiet and hopefully we'll just go ahead and vote.
Good luck. Vice President Chavez?
Thank you, President. I wanted a minute to go over and look over this. I just wanted to make sure that there was no word whatsoever of pawn shops in it. I'm looking over it. And
if I give my word on something, it's my word.
I know, and it looks amicable. I know that the intent is obviously the low-income community and to help them, and I still believe that education is the key. So we just can't go in here and tell the city of Shreveport how to regulate themselves. You know, I would talk to my city councilman James Fleury and say, hey James, I think you guys should do this, and then let them take it up. I don't think it's our job to tell them how to do their job. I do appreciate your willingness to do this, but on the essence of education, a lot of people have the same opinion when it comes to casinos. And every time you see a casino ad, you also see a 1-800 call for this if you're having a gambling problem. I think we should work on what we said initially is education and on the, not the pawn shops, but on the payday loans, that we have them do some type of education when people go into there, that they educate them on how to become financially free and how to get out of debt, as opposed to the cycle that those type of entities put them back in. So thank you for removing the pawn shops. I know the people that are out there are very happy. I have a lot of letters from very, very happy customers that go to pawn shops all the time that have sent them to all of us, and I've given them the other commissioners around this. You guys can read them at your free will. I don't feel like we need to address them now since you've been willing to do this compromise. So thank you, Commissioner Jackson. President, that's all.
Thank you, Vice President Chavez. Commissioner Stephen Jackson?
Yes, Attorney Frazier, Todd, I'm just trying, when we did the resolution requesting the legislature for the seafood, who authored that?
Chavez, I believe.
So we have a precedence established where we petition other bodies to do things, correct?
You've done it before.
I want to remind my friend that we do it all the time. But again, I appreciate this spirit of compromise, and I appreciate y'all all for reaching out to me. And again, don't want anybody to feel like we're trying to shut them down. We never intended to shut in. That's never been the intent from the very beginning. Thank you.
Commissioner Lynn Carthorne?
Thank you, Madam President. I will be terse. I just want to reiterate, we often have this discussion about us urging other bodies to do, enact and invoke certain legislation. I think in this particular situation, in as much as commissioners and city council persons, districts kind of overlay one another, I think if there's anybody that we could reach out to would be the city council and the parish commission working together, because our work in terms of our citizens interact and intersect on a day-to-day basis. So I just want the record to reflect such. Thanks.
Thank you. Commissioner Mike Middleton?
Withdraw, please.
Okay. I see no further discussion.
This is the substitute.
We're voting on the substitute motion first with the amendments that you have heard. Please vote.
Well, if this passes, this will take it up basically, because this is it. It's only one vote.
Okay.
Mr. Chavez?
And that passes 7-4. Next item, Mr. Clerk.
Resolution number 51, 2019, to promote investments in young children and families from prenatal to 3.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, that was moved by the chair, and that was seconded by Commissioner Lyndon B. Johnson. See no discussion, please vote. That passes 10-0.
Let's
Next.
move to resolution number 52, declaring Caddo Parish the original home and birthplace of Southern Soul music.
So move for adoption.
Second.
Second.
That was moved by Commissioner Stephen Jackson and second by the chair. I think my board, okay, there you are. Commissioner Stephen Jackson?
Yes,
you want to speak?
Madam President, I'd like to just make a friendly amendment that we would attach the press release here. Mr. Garland Jones and Mr. Lenny Lewis. I'm sorry, I love you. They provided some additional information that would make this more succinct. And Commissioner Cawthorn, to correct myself, I stand corrected that the genre of Southern Soul is a combination of R&B and blues, and so I stand corrected on that. So
Let the record reflect such.
thank you. But we would attach this as information as well to add into, and we can get together to add this in.
As an
or attach it.
exhibit?
Just add it as an
Correct.
exhibit.
Correct.
Okay. I'll second that.
And I believe the city council is going to adopt a concurrent one as well. Thank you. Thank y'all for bringing this to our attention.
Okay. See no other discussion, please vote.
I voted yes,
I did too.
but I accidentally hit no, so I'm a little bit short of no. Turn around, hit yes.
You better say it now.
Lynn?
I haven't voted?
Sorry.
Okay, let me get it. Like, oop, what? There we go, okay. I hit it hard enough. This
Okay, that passes 11-0. It came up, yes, Commissioner.
Resolution number 53 of 2019, proclaiming and supporting June as Alzheimer's and Brain Awareness Month.
So move.
Second.
That was moved by Commissioner Lynn Cawthorn, and that was seconded by Commissioner John Atkins. Commissioner Jackson, are you on the board?
I'd like to make a substitute motion to the Glovo and advance resolution number 53, resolution number 54, and the confirmation of the sewer district board appointment.
Second.
Should I add in the property standards? case?
No, we need to
Okay.
have a hearing on that one.
All right.
We have a substitute motion from Commissioner Stephen Jackson, and that was seconded by Commissioner Lyndon B. Johnson. See no other discussion, please vote.
Is that acceptable, Commissioner Atkins?
Yes, sir. Thank you for your consideration.
That passes 11-0.
Let's move to old business, property standards case hearing, property case number 2-10497 Fair Lake Road, Wall City, Louisiana.
Okay. Where's Director? Okay.
Can you give us,
Good afternoon.
Good
Commissioners.
afternoon.
Yeah, this was brought back up today because the Property Standards Board gave her till today to sell her property. And I notified her on Monday, contacted her, and she did say that on July 1st, that property is supposed to be sold to a Mr. and Mrs. Fields. So that's where we are with this case right now.
Okay, Commissioner Dominic.
so, help me out here. Is this condemning, condemning this property?
Well, we brought it before the last board, and we recommended demolition of the building. And she was here, and she wanted some additional time so she could see if she could sell the property, and because that would hamper her possibilities for selling it if we was out there demolishing it or demoing it. So the Property Standards Board gave her until 20 June to come up and see if she could sell the property. And when I contacted her this past Monday, she said that the new property owners are supposed to close 1 July and that they are aware that the property needs to be demoed, and they're planning on putting a mobile home on that property.
So if we condemn this property, and it's been sold, what will happen? Will that be an issue or not, Donna, do you know?
Basically, if you condemn the property and, they would have to disclose that to the buyers.
Yeah, I know,
And then if it's demolished prior to it being sold, there will be a lien for the demolition recorded against the property.
But I guess if we condemned it today, and I guess the first thing we know is the lady here, is she here?
No, she's not here.
Yes, I guess we need to make sure the record reflects that Miss, what's her name? Sue?
Melinda Sue Million Wells.
Commissioner, I was gonna open for any public comments after the commissioners finish
Did,
with their comments.
So if we condemn it and it's sold, this person cleans it up, I guess we'll give them some time or something. I just hate for us to go in there and spend a bunch of money if these other people are gonna clean it up. I don't think that's gonna happen.
If you condemn it and you give an order to condemn it, then whoever is gonna be purchasing it will need to comply with that order.
Do
Will
they
need
have
to-
so many days?
They will comply with the demolition, I believe, if I'm correct. They will get a notice, they will have an opportunity to demolish it, and then the parish will put it on its demolition list after that. Now, if somebody purchased the property and was not planning to demolish it, they would need to come back before you all to have you change that order.
This has been going on for quite some time, correct?
Yes, sir, since about last August.
So when I get on the board,
Aren't you on there? Oh, you're not on there?
wait on you to get through.
Okay. All right, I'm done right now. I'm gonna let Mr. Johnson make a motion, I believe.
Okay.
Am I ready?
Just go ahead. It's, okay.
Okay.
Commissioner Lyndon B. Johnson.
Make a motion to condemn the property.
I'll second that motion.
Okay, it's been a motion made by Commissioner Lyndon B. Johnson and second by Commissioner Doug Dominic. Commissioner Johnson, would you like to speak on your motion?
No.
Okay. Is there anyone here to speak in favor or against this motion? Let the record reflect there is no one here to speak on this property standards case hearing. Okay, we have two other commissioners on the board. Do you still need to speak? Commissioner Matthew Lynn?
This is a question, I guess it's relevant to a certain extent.
Okay.
Attorney Frazier, if we did not condemn this property today and it was sold July the 1st, wouldn't we have to start this whole multi-month process over again with the new owner's name on it?
Assuming that they did not demolish it, you would have to notify them. I don't think you would have to start the process over, but you would have to notify them to come back for the hearing for the demolition.
Okay.
I mean,
Thank you.
because technically all of this is public record. They have notice of this when they're purchasing it. So you would need to
Right,
notify.
but there's not a demolition order on it right now. I mean,
Right, but what you were saying is, they have notice that you all are considering it for demolition, so the notice you would need to give is for them to show up for the subsequent hearing.
Okay, that's all, thank you. I say that, I mean, I know that I've been here on other cases where the commission has given people chances with stipulations, and those stipulations weren't followed, and we're back to square one, it seems. But that's all, thank you, Madam President.
Yes, sir. Commissioner John Atkins.
Thank you, Madam President. I withdraw.
Okay. See no further discussion. Please vote.
Can you reread the motion?
Motion was to demolish, condemn and demolish.
I assume you second because you agree.
Yes,
You're good with that?
exactly, yes. Huh? You see
I
the
wouldn't
picture?
made the
You look at
motion.
that?
All right.
I wouldn't have made the motion if I.
Mr. Johnson?
I'm just pondering
It's
these
off.
questions up here.
Yeah.
That's all.
Okay, and that passes 11-0.
Next, we move to communication committee reports.
See no commissioners on board?
I'm tripping.
Commissioner Stephen Jackson?
Yeah, it must be. I'm sorry. Just wanted to announce that the Allendale Lakeside Ledbetter Partnership Community Association will be meeting for their monthly neighborhood association. I see the president, I believe vice president, and vice president are here today, and it's an honor to represent them in that community. Also, Attorney Frazier, if we could just want to keep it fresh on your mind about the consent agenda, if we can just follow up maybe in the next week or so. Todd, I didn't know, do we have the sign up, no people or something, or could we place one of those things up?
Staff only sign up.
Okay, and like I said, I didn't mean to interrupt you while you were reading, but just wanted to make sure. I know we had some discussion on that, but we have a mail back there. It's not to be punitive to anybody, but we have mail, we have discussions back there, and so it's important that we kind of keep that place a little sacred unless they're being accompanied. Also wanted to note that it's already been mentioned that the Good Times Road Festival is coming up this weekend, but next Friday, the organization, it's escaping me now, Dr. Attorney S.P. Davis organization will have their annual scholarship banquet. If anybody would like to attend, please let me know. They've extended an invitation for folks. They'll have the annual, we fund their group, but I can't remember who it is. And Henri, if you could have, is Henri here or is Doug here? Okay, Doug, if you could have Miss Katina give me a call, I would appreciate it. I have some things that I want to kind of get with her on. That's it for me. Thank you, Madam President.
All right. Commissioner Lewis Johnson.
Thank you, Madam President. I want to be clear as it related to the off-limits area. That would be as long as that person is uninvited or unaccompanied. Is that correct?
Yes,
Thank
sir.
you, sir.
Okay. Commissioner Matthew Lynn.
Administrator Wilson, what is the process for putting together the Rolling with the Bulls this year in our summer program? I've yet to receive, how, do I need to reach out to someone?
I've already, X-Men's already get in touch with you.
Okay, I'm waiting on the phone call.
Okay, I'll make sure.
Thank you. That's all, Madam President.
Thank you, sir. Vice President Chavez.
Thank you, President. For Southern Hills, tomorrow is our Coffee with a Cop, so if you guys want to come out from 7 a.m. until 9 a.m. or a little later if attendance is large, at 2544 Burt Coons, which is the Whataburger. So you guys are welcome to come and ask any questions or voice your concerns. That's all. Thank you, President.
All right, thank you, sir. All right, next item, Mr. Clerk.
Citizen comments, late arrivals.
I do have a few cards here. Mr. Craig Lee. Thank you, Mr. Lee, for staying
Yeah.
to make your comments.
Yeah, Craig Lee, 1112 Prospect. As I was stating earlier, we advocated to help repeal the Sagging Pants ordinance with the city of Shreveport. And the whole basis of this situation is intent. And the intent of a legislative body cannot be to legislate morality. Unfortunately, that's not how this thing works. And so one of the big issues that Councilman Green talked about was the actual intent to parent, basically, and you can't parent. And at the end of the day, this basically needs to be eliminated, as the excuse was used to stop Anthony Childs, and we know what resulted from that, although we know that that's not the only issue that was going on. So I urge you guys to repeal you all's version of the Sagging Pants ordinance, or the other ordinance, that whatever you all call it. You all have indecency legislation already, and we can stick to that. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Marvin T. Muhammad.
Marvin Muhammad, Madam President, Vice President Chavez, Administrator Wilson. Before I do say what I want to come up, I did want to give a shout out to Commissioner Carthon. When Craig Lee made his presentation, he cited his book, Let My People Go. I believe the subtopic is making capitalism work in urban America. He can correct me if
Correct.
Right. So great read, great financial read. Sure, I will hope that each commissioner picks that up. But we're here today to speak about repealing the saggy pants ordinance that's on the books since 2012 here. I believe it's ordinance number 5245. As Craig Lee said previously, as we all know, the city of Shreveport just recently repealed their version of the saggy pants ordinance. Oftentimes, and the question might come up, well, why should the parish repeal theirs? Well, 188,000 approximately of the 242,000 residents that makes up the parish actually resides in the city of Shreveport. You know, from a land base, we looking at probably 80 or 85% of the land base of the parish is actually a port. It's actually the city of Shreveport. So it is actually counterproductive for this board, for this commission to act contrary to what we believe that the city should do. It's consistency. Oftentimes we hear claims from the parish, from commissioners, from this commission that we shouldn't be doing things in the city as far as streets are concerned. But we really have to look at passing legislation that's going to empower our community, because at the end of the day, if the city of Shreveport is hurting, then the parish of Caddo is hurting. Again, we're going to be calling, and we have spoken with Commissioner Jackson, and we want to thank him for saying that he's willing to look at it and bring this before the commission at its next work session. So we want to thank him for his bold, brave, and otherwise courageous leadership in this endeavor. But we definitely will be back in force. We feel like this is something that definitely needs to be addressed. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Lenny Lewis.
Yes, ma'am.
Mm-hmm.
Bring that youngster with him back there.
Did you want me to come up here?
Yes, I did.
Okay. I want Garland to come with me. He's not. We're in together on a lot of things.
Is that it?
All right, everybody?
Yes, you can come to the podium,
This one?
and you have 3 minutes.
Okay. And thank y'all for having me. I really don't know what I'm here for, but I appreciate the honor. I do. So you mentioned coming in, you wanted to know what Southern Soul was.
Yes.
Is that correct?
Yes, we talked about that.
Well, in around 1995, I signed an artist that y'all probably won't know named Carl Sims.
17 Days of Love and
That's
Carl
right.
Sims.
Big record.
I know a little something about it.
Thank you. And I was having trouble getting this type music played on stations. So I talked to the legendary E. Rodney Jones. I don't know if you've heard of him. The Voice, he was in Chicago, WVON. And he was in Baton Rouge, and I talked to him all the time. So I said, E. Rodney, I'm really struggling to get this type music played. And he said, okay, what is it? I said, well, it's a mixture. Soul, it's all from the South. It's R&B with a flavor of blues. So I coined this phrase. He said, you just name what it is. It's Southern Soul. I said, well, thank you. He said, "You didn't know it, did you?" I said, "No, I did not." So I started using the name Southern Soul around 95 to 2000 to start promoting the artist on our recording label. And it's not blues, it's not R&B, it's a sound. You have to listen to it to get it. I can't give you a written definition. So we started Southern Soul on all our recording CDs and our paperwork and everything. Copyrighted it, and I just knew it was going to boom. But when we got out of the music business, Garland and I have been in projects together on all this. He kept the Southern Soul going out of his store, and we worked together on everything. And I got caught off guard when everybody contacted me about, "Hey man, Jacksonville is taking credit for this, and Shreveport should have it. Why is it important?" It's a new genre of music, and we need the credit. I didn't know this was going on. Garland calls me. He said, "You're not going to believe this, but Jacksonville is taking credit." And then the rest is history. I thank y'all for having me here and even care about what it is, but it is important. When you create a new type of music, that's a big deal. I mean, is that right or wrong? Right? I mean, and my father gave me full lenience to sign artists. My sister paid them. My dad said, "Okay." And he said, "I don't know if I hear that." I said, "Daddy, just bear with me." And we recorded it, but I give him a lot of credit. He was the one that gave me the latitude, longitude to do everything. So I must have signed about 12 to 15 artists on my label called Suzy Q. And we closed down. And then Garland took it over, and here we are. And we're together on a lot of projects right now. But Shreveport needs to be recognized. This is the soul part of the South in music. I can't believe we let the Louisiana Hayride go away. Municipal Auditorium's got so many things, secrets and things, I don't understand. And so when y'all contacted me, I was very humbled and pleased, and I appreciate it. And I will be interested in working with y'all on any kind of museums or that people need to know about type music. I'm sorry to go over, but I wanted Garland to speak for a minute.
Awesome. Thank you, Mr. Lewis.
Thank you, Lenny. I'd just like to say we've been overwhelmed with the support that we've been getting from all over the country. And we've been sending this music all over the country for the last 15, 20 years. And I had projected that in about 15 to maybe 20 years, Southern Soul would be a category in the Grammys. And believe it or not, it's real big. Even if you listen to the jingles on the radio stations, a lot of the radio stations are now saying your Southern Soul station. All of that came from here, right here. I have 108 volumes of Southern Soul of artists you guys probably never heard of, but it's coming and it's going to be here. It's going to be just like rap. When rap came in, most of the people in the music industry thought it was going to come and go. It'll be around a long time.
Thank you, Mr.
Thank you.
Jones. Thank you both.
Thank you for having me. Thank you.
Mr. John Settle.
John Settle, Fort Tealwood. I'm addressing these to Mr. Jackson in part, so I hope he doesn't leave. I think today, I have no feeling personally on payday loans, but I think y'all made bad government policy, very bad government policy. Number one, you did not hear from Alan Clark, the MPC director, and the impact of the UDC on payday loans or pawn shops. Maybe that's the reason Mr. Jackson left real early. But the MPC is the one who issues these. So I really think that y'all kind of cut through a course, and maybe Mr. Jackson knew that, and that's why he had to scurry out. You didn't even talk to Mr. Clark. Secondly, I think it's bad policy to take a resolution and then totally amend it, as I gather, and not hand it out. I have no idea what y'all really passed. It's not fair to citizens here who want to see a major modification so they can talk about it before you pass it. Think about it. Even the media that's here doesn't know what you passed. That's not good government. And Lasky, y'all are asking the city to do something. You haven't looked at yourself. The parish has payday loans, and you didn't address that. I'm with you on the fact payday loans are predatory lending. I just think that Mr. Jackson, in his rush to get glory and press, overlooked good government policies. All of you really did. You didn't hear from the MPC, the impact of the UDC. You passed a major resolution, a lot of amendments nobody has seen. I'd like to have commented on it. I may have written in favor of it. The media's here, they haven't seen it, and you haven't even shine the light on yourself. Y'all could do better than that. It's a good idea that you did it, even though we all realize it's not binding on the city, but you didn't even look at yourselves. Y'all can do better than that. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Siddle. Cedric Murphy.
Commissioners, Chairman, President, Stormy Watts, and Commissioners.
Yes, sir.
I want to speak on the sagging ordinance that the city repealed. A police officer's discretion caused a young man's life. A police officer's discretion, going by the ordinance that they have on the city side, caused a veteran, 5 Meadows family man, his life. His discretion made him take a U-turn, chase this man in the field, and then have an altercation that caused his life. That was the police officer's discretion. So with that ordinance on both books, we're putting a weapon in some of these officers' hands to arrest young black men. There was a $100 fine that he could have been cited for. Not dying over it. Not dying because his pants were below a certain level. And I'm asking you guys to think about that, because that law has caused a young man's life. And also tying in with the sagging ordinance that I hope you guys repeal, we're also looking at a law that states you cannot walk in the streets. Young black men are being arrested. The Shreveport Times did an article, out of 303 arrests or fines, 283 were black. So there are tools that officers, when we say Corporal Hines says they're supposed to use their discretion, it's causing a major impact on young black men and black men here in Shreveport. So I'm hoping you guys think about this when you guys have an option to repeal this on the Parish side, that a veteran with 2 kids lost his life over $100 citation or fine because of an officer's discretion. There was another young black man who was beaten because he was standing in the street on an officer's discretion. So just think about these laws, because some of these victimless laws, I think that's the right word, are causing people death. They're killing people out there. Officer's discretion. There's no sensitivity. There's no cultural sensitivity. I received a ticket for not walking on a sidewalk. I'm in a damn wheelchair. That was profiled. That was the numbers that I mentioned about the 308 blacks who were given tickets for walking in the streets. I was given a ticket for not walking on an inaccessible sidewalk. Police officers' discretion.
Thank you, Mr. Murphy.
Thank you.
All right. Get a motion to adjourn?
So move.
Second.
All right. Meeting is adjourned.